Hello, welcome to the Big Bad Marketing Podcast. I'm Janae.
And I am Brooke, and we are two entrepreneurs jumping headfirst into building a business.
We're marketers and we're content creators at heart. And in this podcast, we help small business owners learn how to play big with their marketing efforts, even on a small business budget.
So if you're ready to make big bad moves in your professional life, this podcast is for you. This is episode 14, Developing User Personas. So you're a small business owner. You don't want to alienate potential customers, right? You want to sell as much as possible. So you decide you're just going to market your offer to the masses. We're going to talk to everyone. What happens, Janae, when you try to talk to everyone?
Bam, bam, bam. Talk to everyone, talk to no one.
Bam. And it's so true, right? When you put this message out there, everyone is hearing it. It's not resonating with anyone, right? It just gets kind of bland and general and then you're talking to no one.
You become the background noise and the monotonous sound, and no one can hear you because they don't think that you're talking to them.
Absolutely. So user personas are one way that small business owners can drill down to their ideal customers, help them figure out where to find them, and figure out the appropriate ways to talk to that group. So, what is a persona and why is it helpful? Why should we even take the time to create it?
Okay, so a persona is a fictional character that represents a common customer of yours, and it profiles them so that you get a lot of the common characteristics of most of your customers into this persona. And it's detailed and specific. So you get a sense of who they are, of what makes them purchase, of what they do for a living, of any barriers to making purchases, what their goals are, so that you can craft your marketing messaging accordingly for that persona. And the idea is to do several personas, typically 3 to 5. That way, you get a really good sense of the core common customers, not these like super fringe ones. And you can blend a lot of the traits that many of your people have into these characters.
So that makes sense. On the one hand, I'm thinking, okay, cool. It's a way to drill down into my ideal audience. That tracks. And I know we're going to talk about how to create a persona in a bit, but what am I going to do with these personas, right? They're fictional characters. They're not real people. So how am I going to actually use them as I think about marketing my business?
Okay, so the idea here, go with me on this, is like print out a picture of this person. You give them a name, you make them a real person. I like to say, give them a seat at the table. So they're there with you in board meetings or just when you're on the computer, they're here with you, kind of over your shoulder, reading an email newsletter that you're writing out or checking out a social media post. And you're really inviting that presence of that persona to be there and guide your marketing so that there's this sense that a quasi real person, so your persona, is taking a look at your content and saying, hey, this really resonates for me because it's touching on all my pain points or my challenges. Or you get a sense of like, this marketing is going to fall flat on our persona because it doesn't talk to anything that makes sense for them. And it's just way out of their playing field of interests or challenges or behaviors or values.
Yes, love that. So, to sort of make it more real, before we build the persona, I think it might be helpful to step through an example of a persona that we use here at Big Bad Marketing because it really is the difference of thinking, how am I going to develop this email campaign? What am I going to talk about? What are the things I'm going to say? Versus being able to say, okay, this email is going to Sarah, our ambitious entrepreneur. We know that she's 35 years old. She owns a local boutique fitness studio. She makes about $85,000 a year, but she reinvests a lot back into the business. She spends her time on Instagram and Pinterest. And so, for these reasons and the things we know about her, This is how we're going to craft the email to speak to Sarah. So that just sort of takes your marketing efforts from broad strokes. Let's kind of try to figure out where we're headed to a really specific place, which I think can really help small business owners as they are developing content across their marketing platforms.
Sure. So I like to think of personas a lot in the context of fishing and marketing in general, really. And when you go fishing, you can throw and cast a wide net, and you're going to get some bass in there, and you're going to get some salmon, and you're going to get some deep sea creatures, and you're going to get some minnows, and maybe even a shark. Like, I know all of those animals don't swim in the same ocean, but the point is, like, you're just going to get a whole gaggle of who knows what. Luck, like if you're lucky, you're going to get some things, but those holes are pretty big. So some things are going to flow through, and you're just going to get kind of whatever swims in. And then on the other hand, you can use a very specific fishing hook with a very specific kind of bait and go to this very special area where your magic fish is hanging out. And then when you cast your fishing hook over there, you're more likely to get your magical unicorn fish because you've taken all of the right steps. You've honed in and figured out, what does my fish like? What is it going to eat? What hook is going to attract it? And it's way more likely to bite on your hook than swim into a random net that you dropped somewhere that is not tailored specifically for that fish. So it's casting a wide net versus using a specialty fishing hook.
I love the fish analogy. My husband is a fly fisherman, and every year he goes fishing at this particular spot up in Maine, and he uses the very specific fly fishing lures that are crafted literally to get salmon. So that is what he fishes for when he goes up there. And he's at this one particular dam where the salmon run, and he knows that when he casts, he's trying to get this fish. So that just resonated with me on a level that I can understand. And hopefully that makes sense to other people too, because that's a really important point. We don't want to cast the wide net. We want to figure out who our fish is, where our fish is going to be running, and the exact bait we need to do to capture them.
Yes, and to your point, like where do we need to be standing and which waterway do we need to go to and which dam and what time of year? Like there's so many pieces that go into it because imagine you start marketing back to school stuff on the radio in December. Like makes no sense. Right? So it's marketing, if you just zoom out, is all about that, like understanding the real people who are going to buy your product or service and why. So that's how we start doing that with personas. Who are these real people? Let's give them names and talk about them like they're real.
Yeah. And so as we are going to create our personas, step one of that is to collect data because while these are fictionalized characters, they are based in reality, right? We're not making assumptions about who our ideal customers are. We're rooting that in who our customers are. So if you're a brand new business and you don't have any customers yet, maybe this is an exercise that you wait to do until you have 5 or 10 customers under your belt, until you can start to see some trends and gather some data about the types of people that are buying from you. Otherwise, you can make certain assumptions and kind of develop a loose persona, but understand that it's subject to modification based on the data that you capture as time goes on.
Sure. And go back and listen to episode 13 on competitive intelligence and competitive analysis. That's a great starting point. See who your competition is talking to, right? Like if you do a good job finding out who your competitors are, you might be able to decipher who it is that they are marketing to and have a very similar customer base.
Yes. So, in addition to these basic demographics, right? Age, income, where they live, what they do for work, you also want to look at their behaviors, preferences, and what's actually driving their purchase decisions. So, obviously, talking to your real customers can be a helpful way to do this. And in certain user personas, people actually pulling quotes from real customers that are something that the persona would be saying. And that can be a really helpful thing to do. You can also do surveys. You can look at user reviews, look at your analytics, look at your customer history of the buying patterns of the people that have come through in these different demographic groups. So use all of the data at your disposal and ensure that the persona is based on facts. So once you collect all that data, your logical next step is going to be to analyze it. So, Janae, what are we looking for when we analyze all of our data?
So, again, much like the competitive analysis episode, the idea here is you've gathered all of this information, start to connect the dots. What are the trends? Are there threads that carry through different people, different characters who are your actual customers, right? Do you notice that a lot of them are females or males? Do you notice that a lot of them are in a certain age range or they hold certain positions within large companies or small companies? Do they have kids? Who and how is your product or service solving the problem for? And so as you're understanding kind of these high level themes, you can start to jot them down and collect these major points that make your customers similar.
Yes. And I think that is sort of the value add of the persona is the lower level things like their motivations, their challenges, their pain points, and how your product is solving it for them. Because those are ultimately the types of things that you're going to talk about in your marketing efforts when you are talking to your persona.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you have this information, and the next step is to put it all together and actually go ahead and craft your fictional character, your persona. So give them a name, an age, a job, what tools are they normally using to communicate with others? How are they consuming media? Are they on social media? Are they reading emails? Do they watch TV? Do they listen to podcasts? And then start to understand their motivations, values in life, but also as it relates specifically to your product and service. And then any challenges or pain points that exist for them, especially in terms of making an actual purchase. Like are there bottlenecks or obstacles in the way that would prevent them from making a purchase right away?
Yes. And all of those are really important to consider the holistic experience for your customers. So, how do you ensure that this user persona is someone that is going to have their problem solved by you? So once we have our persona, obviously, and we can make a couple of them, like you were saying earlier, maybe 3 to 5, but similar to your competitive intelligence, any more than that, and it might get to the point where you're talking to such a niche person that it's no longer applicable to a bit of a broader audience. So obviously, if you sell a product that is geared toward these very niche individuals, then that's okay, or really niche groups. But most of the time, people are not going to be serving more than 3 to 5 niches with a single product or service offering.
Mm-hmm.
So then we'll segment our audience and use these personas to drive our marketing efforts. So when you think about Sarah, our ambitious entrepreneur, what offerings do we have that are applicable to Sarah? Do they fit within her price point? Do they help her achieve her goals? Do they help alleviate some of the pain points that we've defined for her? Will she be motivated to buy from us? And are we showing up on the channels where she is active? So these are all sort of things that we can think through to say, hey, how can we enhance our marketing for Sarah in order to serve her better?
Sure. At the end of it, you want Sarah to feel that your messaging, that she understands it and she feels understood by what you're putting out there. And more importantly, that whatever it is you're putting out can solve her problem. So as long as you keep moving forward with her in mind, that's going to help you tailor everything that you put out so that it's with the context of Sarah's unique position, unique missions and values and goals.
Yes. And it can help guide your product and service development as you go forward too. So it's, look at your existing offerings and make sure there's something there. But as you think, maybe we should expand into this new product line. Maybe we're a juice bar and we think, I wonder if we should get into smoothies or coffee or breakfast sandwiches. Is that something we think Sarah would be interested in? based on, she has a couple young kids and she's busy and she's, like, how can we ensure that our future state, we're kind of developing things with our user personas in mind?
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, user personas are a way to guide your marketing efforts further, help you sort of define that ideal audience for your business and make sure that you are talking to someone and not trying to talk to everyone.
Talk, talk to everyone, talk to no one.
Boom.